My name is Lexie. My husband and I have been married since 2013. We just celebrated 10 years together, and this is our story. So when Ryan and I got married, we just knew that we were going to start our family right away.
First year came by and we're like, nothing's really happened. And at that point, we're like, this is a little bit weird. Should we start to look into, other stuff?
So 2 years into our marriage, we decided to start seeing an infertility specialist. All of that led to a lot of testing and then medication and different procedures and surgeries and, did I say lots of medication? Pretty quickly, I think I started to guard myself and think, well, maybe I'm just not supposed to be a mom.
We really wanted to have kids, and yet you see people that can so easily have kids, and you start to wrestle with that.
I had some depression that kicked in. I had really struggled with depression growing up, and all of a sudden things that I thought had been in my rearview mirror, like miles behind, were just right there, feeling like I wasn't worthy, maybe punished for who knows what, You're newlyweds. You think things should be really easy and fun, and they're not easy and fun, and now you're having to introduce all of this whole new world that you don't know. I was an absolute disaster. Just our marriage itself, there was a lot of tension at that time to try to get to the same place. You had to try this, and this, and this, and this, and all of those things weren't working, and these 4 things probably aren't going to work, but you have to try them in order to get to what might work. The doctor said, okay, we're finally at the point where we think that IVF is what you have to do if you want to have your own children genetically. I was super, super angry and not where I wanted to be, but a lot of things in my life have not been what I wanted them to be, and God just used them, and they were good. Ryan lost his job right in the midst of all of that. What are we gonna do now? We don't have it, but had Ryan not lost his job, I would have never been able to manage all of those medications, all of the appointments, all of the blood draws.
I ended up creating an Excel spreadsheet that lays out all the medication, what part of the day she has to take them. So I had about 2 months where I could focus on that.
God just used it. He didn't say, oh, here's your job back. He didn't do what we thought we wanted him to do. He did what he had to do.
It anchored my faith, and it just anchored me more in God, I can see some of the things that are happening in our journey.
So going into the actual transfer, you have to wait until a certain date to start this certain medication. And then once that one is at a certain point, then you have to start this one. And then I had royally screwed up, and I had missed 4 days of one of the many medications that I was supposed to take. Got a call later that afternoon, and they said, actually, it's not gonna be fine. We have to cancel the transfer. You have to start all over. How did I miss? It's in my calendar. I've got alarms going off. It's on my other calendar. It's in my phone. It's Ryan asking. How did I miss it? I remember being crushed and being so angry. There were a million emotions in that season. But you have to keep moving forward. Called the office to say, oh, by the way, in the midst of all of this, we now have new insurance. They said, oh, new insurance, tell us about it. Gave them the new insurance. Your new insurance covers IVF in full. Had you done your transfer when you thought you were going to do it, it wouldn't have been covered. In that moment, I can't help but believe that God just let me just forget to take the medication, because I'm going to take care of you. I'm just going to pay for the whole thing for you. So after our first embryo transfer, and we had our first blood work, it's worked. We're pregnant. Just 2 days later, the blood work came, and the numbers that they wanted to see grow weren't growing.
They shared the news. They said, this is not a viable pregnancy. And heartbroken, God, what's going on here? Not knowing, not understanding, but still trying to rest in God, I know your plan is so much bigger than whatever we were trying to do. But that doesn't stop the pain and the hurt. Felt like this big balloon just popped.
We then proceeded on to embryo number 2.
To be honest with you, I think both her and I were this is probably isn't gonna work. We went to church a couple days after, And I remember my like world just being shaken and like just going, God, you are here. You're with us in this journey, and resting in that.
We got the news very quickly that the numbers were looking amazing. And that morning we came to church, and I remember listening to the God of Miracles that morning at church, and then getting the call, bolting down the aisle to the atrium and hearing that embryo number 2 was looking good, numbers were looking good, and we were pregnant.
On June 28th, 2020, Rowan Michael Katzer was born.
We made it. I couldn't get him to my chest fast enough. All I can say is that the goodness of God is the only thing that got us through all of this. The entire time that God was just telling me that there's always hope, that there are promises over you. He also promises that things are going to be really hard and things are going to be really crappy sometimes. He's there.
I know what God has done, and I've seen it, and I'm going back to that. It doesn't matter if I step away, I gotta come back to it.